finale episode of Kenobi is rapidly approaching. Before the show finishes up, I wanted to make a video going over my thoughts and opinions on the series so far, as well as getting into some of the issues maybe you and other Star Wars fans have had with the show up until this point. For the first 2 episodes, I, much like many others, were beyond excited. All of our wishes had finally been answered. It was fun to see Ewan McGregor reprise his role as Obi-Wan Kenobi and explore this period of his story on screen. This particular era of the character's life is something that fans have wanted to see for a long time. We already made a video breaking down those episodes, so if you want more on the first 2, go check that video out. Episode 3 checked every box for me. The beginning of the episode on Mapuzo and the Anakin Mirage, that was cool to see. And I've said it before that the interactions with Obi-Wan and Leia deliver some of the most emotionally compelling aspects of the show. The standout moment for me was when the stormtrooper on Freck's shuttle caught Obi-Wan and Leia in their lie and called them out for calling her the wrong name. What gets them out of it is when Obi-Wan tells the truth for a moment and says that sometimes when he looks at her, she reminds him of her mother. Ugh. Getting a little emotional just thinking about it. I like Tala, the ex-Imperial turned spy who shows them the path, and we get the reference to Quinlan Vos, but that is all supplemental to the other side of this episode, the return of Darth Vader. Once again, his presence is eternally menacing. The way he ruthlessly slaughters the townspeople in an attempt to draw Obi-Wan out and toy with his mind is so brutal. Some fans were disappointed by this encounter, but I think that these folks are really missing the point. Vader does not want to kill Obi-Wan, at least not yet. He says it himself, he wants Obi-Wan to suffer. When Tala shows up at the end, I think it's clear as day, Darth Vader was not only aware of her presence, but he allowed Obi-Wan to escape intentionally. Real quick, I just want to say, if you're enjoying the video, click the like button. Okay, moving on. In episode 4, it opens with Obi-Wan after being rescued, now on Jabeam, and we get the cool parallel with him and Vader in the bacta tank with some cool flashes. Obi-Wan on Jabeam outside of this scene really just doesn't do it for me. Boring shit with Obi-Wan and Ice Cube's son is no bad wishes on him at all, but O'Shea Jackson Jr.'s performance in this series is absolute garbage. It doesn't work for me at all. It just feels all too obvious that his character just shows up to cover expository dialogue, and it just falls flat for me. And don't get me started on Wade, I'll be back to him later. I did enjoy the interrogation scene with Reva and Leia, but outside of that, this was really the first episode that felt somewhat underwhelming for me. I think it has cool moments like Obi-Wan using the Force to distract those stormtroopers, or using the Force to hold off the water from the shattered window. Or, yeah, I just think it's cool when Obi-Wan uses the Force and not when he smuggles a little girl out of an alert military base in a f***ing trench coat. For real though, that moment was so bad, I said that she might as well just gotten on his shoulders with a fake mustache on. This episode fell a little flat, but things looked up a little bit in my opinion in episode 5. Episode 5 opens with the flashback. I'm gonna say it right now because we all already know it. Yes, Hayden Christensen looks older now. I can see why that's funny or not okay for some fans, but wow, I got over it in 2 seconds and was so happy to see these 2 actors on screen together again. Discovering the truth of Reva's past was one of the most important parts of the show because up until this point, we've been asking what is her motivation in this story? Beyond the position of Grand Inquisitor, what are her true motivations, and how does she know that Vader is Anakin? Obi-Wan asked that question for us, and we got the flashback of Order 66 scene and Anakin's dark deeds. During that attack on the Jedi Temple, the clone troopers would have been referring to him as Lord Vader. That is how her story is woven into the story of the characters that we're already familiar with, and that is why she's important to the show. Tala's death scene really worked well. I really enjoyed her character as well as her loader droid Ned B. Her sacrifice as well as Ned B's really hit me, and this is what I love about Star Wars. Like she said in episode 3, he can't speak, but actions speak louder than words. In his last moments, he kneels down to protect her from the barrage of incoming fire. With Reva's true intentions revealed, Obi-Wan is able to manipulate her into striking early in her pursuit for revenge on Anakin. At first, I thought it was funny how Reva's response to the trauma of losing her Jedi family was to hunt the rest of them down, but then I realized that in her mind, Reva is playing the long game, and that her true Jedi prize to be slain is Lord Vader himself. Vader, on the other hand, he is basically laughing at her the whole time. He's 15 steps ahead of her, he knows everything that's going on. She couldn't lay a finger on him, and he even let her try as hard as she possibly could. When he walked in and pulled that ship down, damn man, that was one of the sickest displays of power I've ever seen in Star Wars canon to date. And yeah, I thought that his duel with Reva was just him absolutely dissing on her until she realized what the true power of the dark side really was. The return of the Grand Inquisitor was so smooth, and after him being off screen for most of the show, I was glad to see him back in action.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Why did Vader let the second ship go though? I've seen people asking this, and honestly, it's because unfortunate as it is, this is still getting the TV style format. And yes, it is meant to be episodic. Obi-Wan says it himself at some point in this episode, it's not over yet. And he's right, because there's one more episode left. Some people will chalk this up to lazy writing, and I understand that, but for me, I can look past some of these moments and just be glad to be exploring new stories in this beloved franchise, let alone with these characters, and even with its faults, I'm so glad it exists, and I'm looking forward to the finale. Okay, so in the end, we know Reva is aware of Luke's presence on Tatooine, and Obi-Wan senses the disturbance here as well. Aside from that, we know the escape vessel is traveling at sub-light speed and the Empire is hot on their trail. What are some of our predictions? I have no idea what could happen. Alright everyone, thanks for watching this episode of For the Love of Star Wars. Be sure to click that like and subscribe button if you made it this far. And come back Wednesday morning when we cover everything Kenobi finale. And until then, may the Force be with you. Wade literally has one line in the show, and he's like, what if we do this, guys? And then his one friend who's like really sad about his death is like, you, Wade, no, that won't work. I don't know exactly what she says, but she's basically like, no way, it can't happen. And then that's the only line that he has, and we're just all watching, supposed to be like, oh man, Wade, what a hero.